Hello friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel Simply Stocks, and today I'm going to talk about a comparison between Asian Paints and Berger. So let's get started. First of all, a disclaimer that this is not a stock recommendation. People taking any position to any share that I talk about should do that with their own due diligence and research, and I'm not in favor or against any company that I talk about. Before I talk about the comparison, here's a small request that kindly support me on Patreon, and once you do that, it will help me grow the channel, help you also ask me questions in greater detail on a daily basis. And once you get once you pay $100 upfront, you get 1 year access by paying for 10 months, so that's a 20% discount. For detailed market or company talk, you can directly contact me and we can work things out with a fee. Now about the industry per se, the paint industry was doing very well till 2017 and has been doing well over the last 100 years, not just in the last 10, 15, 20 years, has done exceedingly well. And this is one of the essential requirements of anyone who buys a house, who is living in a house. No matter if you are a tenant or you own any house, you will require paints and the house to be renovated and painted every 3-4 years, or maybe even if not 3-4 years, then every 7 to 10 years at least it needs to be done in. And that's why the requirements for paint is similar to the requirements, I believe, of a toothpaste or of any FMCG products like biscuits or tea, etc. So pandemic made things very tough for this industry, and we saw the decline. So something like an Asian Paints went from 2000 to 1400, 1500 levels. There was a 30-35% fall, and that was a golden opportunity to probably get into such kind of stock. So the slowdown actually began not in 2020, but it started in 2018 onwards, and the demand started to curtail as demand for housing started to go down. So if people do not buy into new houses, then the rate of, you can say, painting, or rate of you can say increase in the sales of paint will be lower. Whereas yes, demand for the houses that have already been built, and it will always remain that people will paint their houses every, as I said, 2, 3, 4 years. But if there are more houses built, that is the biggest, you can say, revenue generator for these paint companies, which started to reduce from 2018. And over the last 3 to 4 years, over the last 4 years, we have seen a decline in that industry. But now the real estate and infrastructure industry is coming back to focus as the sales are beginning to increase and getting better than FY20. But I would like to see how things pan out over the next 2-3 years, and whether it can surpass FY17 numbers or not. Another thing that has happened with the paint industry is that costs have increased dramatically, as oil prices have increased sharply over the last 3-4 years. We have seen oil prices go from $20 per barrel all the way to now $60-65 per barrel, $70 per barrel. So raw material prices has surged, and it is rising, and that is a cause for concern for I'm sorry, for all these paint stocks. But stocks of both the companies have continued to perform. It has continued to do extremely well. We have seen that Asian Paints, after making that low of around 1500, 1470 in March of 2020, over the last 1.5 years, has doubled. So it has doubled from those levels, whereas Berger Paints has gone up, I think, 1.4, 1.5x from those levels. Has really gone up a lot. And the reason for that is the prospects look very positive for the industry. The prospect look very positive for these stocks as real estate comes back, as things open up. The revenue and the profit growth will be even greater than what they are producing at the moment. So the reason is this industry is growing a lot. Asian Paints had been the only listed company that I know of which increased salaries for their employees during the pandemic. whereas everything was shut down, etc. They had very decent sales even in those difficult times of, I'm saying, April to June 2020. And this time around in June quarter, the numbers have been even better. So both the companies stock has done extremely well, and I would believe they are set to grow at greater pace once things completely open up, once things really get going. I think the pace of growth will be even better, and second and third tier cities will do even better. I believe that the rural areas and second and third tier cities, as incomes improve, they are now, people are looking to get into buying into branded paint products, branded other sort of products as well, as we have seen with one of the FMCG reports that branded items of FMCG are selling more than the local items. So there is a seminal shift towards organized space from unorganized that is taking place at a greater pace at the moment. If you look at the comparison, then Asian Paints has a market cap of around 2.9 lakh crores. Berger is around 80,000 crores. So Berger is a mid cap, a larger mid cap, as Asian Paints, as we all know, is a large cap by all means. But look at the margins. Asian Paints has 500 basis points better margin, 22% versus 17%. An ROE that is 300 basis points better, 27% versus 24%. Yes, it is slightly expensive at 12 times market cap to sales, whereas Berger Paints is 10 and a half times, but both are not cheap. So you need to understand on the basis of the numbers that are coming in. I won't say that any of the companies in the paint industry is cheap. They are overvalued. I won't say overvalued, but stretched at the moment. But you have to look at the institutional investments here. Around 15% institutional investment in Berger Paints compared to around 28%, over 28% in Asian Paints, and that is why Asian Paints hardly falls, because there is promoter holding which is there, plus there is 28% you have in terms of institutional holding. So large strong hands are holding the stock. So if you look at promoter holding is 53%, 28% comes from, as I said, institutions. So that's 81% with the very strong hands that Asian Paints has. There's 75 plus 15, so around 90% is with strong hands in terms of Berger Paints, and that's why Berger has done better than Asian Paints over this 2-3 year period. But I still, so I'll let you know what I prefer, but I go with, always have gone with the larger of the companies. In terms of PE, Berger is stretched slightly by around 10% or so. So it's not that Asian Paints is extremely expensive, still Berger is more expensive at these valuations. And you look at the return on capital employed, that is also much better in Asian Paints. Stock is up 62% in case of Asian Paints, 50% in case of Berger Paints, but Berger has done very well from 2017 if you compare on a 4 year basis, and that's why it's taking slightly you can say a breather at the moment. So in a nutshell, I believe that surprisingly Asian Paints look relatively reasonably valued compared to Berger Paints, which I thought otherwise before making this presentation. But it's not that it is the difference is a lot. It is very nearby. So both are expensive, I would say. It is also the larger brand in the space, and I would prefer the largest brand to do well over a long period of time. Also, Asian Paints has greater pricing powers. You need to understand, when inflation rises, when inflation go up, then companies like Asian Paints would be able to pass on the prices easily to the customers compared to other companies, because it has the largest market share and people would still buy. So if, even if say they increase the prices of their 1 liter can by around 10%, they'll still be selling the same number of, you can say, number of units. So that is why Asian Paints rule the roosts at the moment. So valuations wise, yes, Asian Paints seems much better, but the difference is not huge. And as I said, pricing power is with Asian Paints. So in that regard, it seems like Asian may continue to surge, but Berger has gained market share over time. So you need to understand that a company that is gaining market share will have greater amount of sales growth, and the profit growth would come in later on. So even Berger Paints is not bad at these valuations. It is just that you need to have one choice and pick one. Both the companies are doing extremely decently well. So valuations in Berger look stretched comparatively on a short term basis. So on a long term basis, I still believe if they continue to gain market share, Berger may continue to do really well over a 4 5 year time frame. So gaining more market share will lead to more business altogether. So on a business front, both may do well. Once economy opens up completely, these two companies will come out with very different numbers, and that is why the valuations are such at the moment that people are buying into it, because they know that if the PE is 80 or 90, then the numbers will also increase by 50 to 60% sales profit growth, not sales but profit growth of such kind would take place once economy opens up completely. So my call in these stocks is that both are top class firms. Asian Paints more attractive in terms of valuations, but by a smidgen, by about 10 to 15%. And I believe in buying the best of the business. So I would prefer buying into Asian Paints. If you have Berger Paints at lower levels, if you have it with a 60, 70, 80% profit, yes, definitely hold on to it. Do not shift, because do not buy but do not shift either, because your buy price is lower, so you'll gain more as things open up completely. So only take small positions at these levels. Wait for a decent decline of 15-20% in these stocks to get in, and have less than 10% exposure into such stocks. So this was my comparison of Asian Paints and Berger. Please like and subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon so you can get my videos straight away when I post it, and kindly support me on Patreon. Thanks a lot for watching.